and I'm just going to put it really bluntly, you guys are way too hard on yourself, and it is stopping you from progressing to where you want to be. Healthy relationship with food, peace with food, amazing confidence. And there's this sort of attitude of, if I know better, right? If there's something that I know that I want to do or want to be, then I should do better. Then I should just go and be. Let's just break this down, okay? Let's say that I decide I want to be extremely confident speaking to 10,000 people, a crowd of 10,000 people. There we go. I have decided this is what I want to be, right? And now I can say to myself, well, go on then, Rach. Go, be confident, speak to 10,000 people. And it's like, well, it doesn't work like that. In the same way, when you guys want to develop a healthy relationship with food, whether you're a client of mine, whether you're just watching these YouTube videos, whether you're a member of the Emotional Eating Deep Dive, however it is that we're interacting, when it comes to developing a healthy relationship with food, you may want that. Absolutely. And then when you have a moment when you don't do that, you weaponize it against yourself. You shame yourself, you judge yourself, and you say, well, I said that I wanted to do this thing, right? And I didn't. And you just use it as ammunition to beat yourself up. But it doesn't work like that. Just because you know better, as it were, just because you know better, doesn't mean that you can instantly do better. Once you have already made the wonderful strides of knowing what it is that you want and how you're going to support yourself getting there, right? The practices that are going to support you to get there. That doesn't mean now that your automatic nature is to follow along with that. And you need to give yourself grace. You need to give yourself compassion, because you are a human being. And not only is this the reality that we're living in, right? But it's also going to be supportive for you if you can give yourself grace and you can give yourself compassion, that you are now in a reconditioning process, right? Let's say that I am a people pleaser, all right? And I've been a people pleaser my entire life. I'm very accommodating to others. I'm very agreeable, right? I always put other people first. I try desperately to add value into people's lives and to be as easy to be around as possible, right? That is my nature. But you know what? Let's say I get to 35 years old and I'm absolutely exhausted. I'm exhausted. Not only am I exhausted, I am resentful. And not only am I exhausted and resentful, but I also don't have the kinds of friendships and connections and relationships that I so desperately need and want in my life. So I wake up and I sort of realize there is a problem here, okay? So let's say I go off to therapy, or let's say I go off to therapy. And my therapist takes all of this and they start to speak to me about assertiveness, right? Being able to stand up for myself, being able to validate my own needs. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, this is what I want. I want to be able to take up space and I want to feel that genuine confidence. That's what I want. I want assertiveness. Okay. So now starts the process of building up my skill set of being assertive. Okay. Listen to how ludicrous this would be. Okay. Many of you are doing this. Many of you are doing this. Imagine I hear about assertiveness from my therapist. She gives a brief explanation of what it is. I then go out into the world after this one session and I come across the situation. Let's say I'm in a meeting with my boss and I find myself default into people pleasing, being very agreeable, very accommodating. I'm self-abandoning, right? And let's say at that moment, after I've done that, I shame myself for it. What's wrong with you, Rachel? You say that you want to be assertive, so why did you go ahead and people please? And many of you are doing this, and this is a problem. This is a problem. And let's contrast it to the other approach, okay? Here I am, I'm a people pleaser. I go to my therapist, I learn about assertiveness, and now I take the attitude of, now I'm going to learn the skill. Now I'm going to build up my skill set, build up my confidence in being assertive. There's going to be a lot of nuance about this that comes up that I'm going to support myself in. Okay, so yes, I want to build assertiveness. Definitely, I go out into the world. I notice when I default into people pleasing and I validate that. Of course, that makes sense. I don't like it, right? I don't like the fact that I people please. I kind of feel a healthy amount of bad for myself that is what I felt like I needed to do in that moment. But I validate it. Of course, it makes sense that I defaulted into people pleasing there. But when I hold that energetic space, guess what that allows me to do? It allows me to be curious. I wonder why. What was it about that situation? And what was it about me in that situation that led to me defaulting into people pleasing? What was my intention? Why is it that felt safe? And very importantly, I can also curiously reflect on, If I had been able to be assertive, right? An acknowledgement for capacity here. If I had been able to be assertive, what might that have looked like? What might that have sounded like? And I can now use those opportunities as opportunities for understanding and growth and taking a step forward. And what am I doing in that scenario? I am building my skill set and my ability and my capacity with every single opportunity that arises. Because there's a lot of rule-bound thinkers watching this. I know you, I see you, you think in rules, okay? Just because I know better, I should do better, as though it's a rule book. I'm just going to be assertive now, and any time that I'm not, I've broken my rules, I've failed, what's wrong with me, right? But it doesn't work like that. And I see you, okay? Being like, I don't want to eat until I'm uncomfortably full. I don't want to do that. It doesn't feel good, right? So now I know better. I should do better. I should just not do that. And then I find myself defaulting into that, and then I shame myself for it. What's wrong with you? Don't you want to be better? Don't you want to do better? You know that this doesn't feel good, right? It's so harsh and it's so unfair. Be curious, support yourself, show up for yourself in those moments. Yes, it's true. You don't want to be doing that. You don't like that you did that. Hold space for that. I don't like that I did this. Hold a healthy amount of, I feel bad for myself, not wallowing in self-pity, not in victimhood land, but a healthy amount of, I feel bad for myself a little bit, that I don't know any other way right now. So I know I don't like it. I don't like it. And because I don't like it, and because I love myself, and because I care for myself, I'm going to be curious about it. Then I wonder why. How interesting it is that I'm doing something that I don't like the effects of. I wonder why. What's going on for me in that moment? How am I trying to take care of myself in that moment? And you know, the number one thing that clients report to me, right? Those who have moved from disordered eating, binge eating, emotional eating, feel out of control with food, maybe a similar position to the one that you find yourself in at the moment, and they develop a healthy relationship with food, peace around food. And towards the end of their journey, when they feel like they're ready to move on, they're moving into their next chapter, we often sit down and we have a conversation, and I ask them, now that you've developed a healthy relationship with food and good body image, you know, and you're feeling, you know, you are feeling like, tell me some of the key things that you did that allowed for that transition. I know we've done a lot. We've built a lot of little mini skills, right? If you're a client of mine and you're inside the program, you know we're doing a lot of different things. We're building a lot of different things, but I ask you for your key things, the things that move the needle the most for getting that healthy relationship with food. And do you know what my clients report time and time again? Every single time without fail, this one comes up. When I learned to be curious and stop judging myself, when I learned to learn from what I was doing instead of shaming and judging myself. Let's say that you're on that journey of building a healthy relationship with food, okay? And let's say you go out to lunch with one of your friends, and your friend, I'm smiling because this is actually more of a common occurrence than you might think that it is, and your friend is looking at the menu and they're like, oh, yeah, the salad looks really good. I want to have the salad. Because it's what they genuinely want. Right? That's what's going to make them feel good. That's where their cravings are at that particular moment. They're going to get the salmon salad. And you're sitting there like, oh, shoot, I really fancied the calzone. That's what I'm really in the mood for. I feel like that's going to feel good, right? Really craving that. And you've been on the journey for a while to know that this is not coming from a disordered place. You really want the calzone, more power to you, right? But your friend is ordering the salad, and so you like, okay, I will get the salad too, all right? Both order the salad, you come away from that lunch with your friend and you are really hungry, you're not satisfied, right? And in that moment, you're like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I know that part of how I want to be eating, how I want my relationship with food to be, is to check in with what feels good to me in that moment. Feel into what I really fancy eating, what's going to really satisfy me in that moment, and then make decisions accordingly. Now you've got two options here. Shame yourself. Why did you do that, right? You know that's not in line with a healthy relationship with food. You know that's not in line with what you're trying to practice at the moment. What's wrong with you? Just do better, right? That's option one. Option two is, interesting. I wonder why I made a different choice. What was going on for me there? And then you learn something interesting. I was afraid that if I ordered the calzone while my friend was ordering a salad, that she was going to judge me. I got a fear of judgment there. So I don't feel fully in control of my choices. I feel like I'm being pulled sometimes like a puppet on strings because I've got this fear of judgment. Well, what can I do with that? Well, now I can work on my fear of judgment directly, right? As I start to do that, and I have less fear of judgment, I feel more self-assured and more grounded in my choices. That's going to make it a lot easier to make choices that feel right for me. Okay, do you see the difference? A perfectionist attitude, I'm going to get even more blunt and direct now. A perfectionist attitude and a self-shaming attitude is going to blunt, in my experience, your ability to become self-aware in the way that you need. It's going to blunt your ability to learn and to grow, and it's going to keep you stuck, from my experience, in just having to employ more willpower and more force and more rules. And I know that's not where you want to be. So give yourself a little bit more grace. That's my invitation to you. Thank you so much for watching, lovelies. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.